Just listen. I'm sorry what I did to Compton.
You are listening to
Fire emergency.
Please don't touch him, listen. I'm sorry I killed that girl.
Hello there, bitch. Are you comfortable right now? I doubt it. Wrists and ankles chained, gagged, probably blindfolded. You are disoriented and scared too, I would imagine. Perfectly normal under the circumstances. For a little while, at least, you need to get your shit together and listen to this tape. It was very relevant to your situation. I'm going to tell you in detail why you have been kidnapped, what's going to happen to you, and how long you'll be here. I don't know the details of your capture because this tape is being created on July 23rd, 1993, as a general advisory tape for future female captives. The information I'm going to give you is based on my experience dealing with captives over a period of several years. If at a future date there are any major changes in our procedures, this tape will be upgraded. Now, you're obviously here against your will, totally helpless. Don't know where you're at, don't know what's going to happen to you. You're very scared or very pissed off. I'm sure that you've already tried to get your wrists and ankles loose, and no, you can't. Now, you're just waiting to see what's going to happen next. You probably think you're going to be raped, and you're fucking sure right about that. Our primary interest is in what you've got between your legs. You'll be raped thoroughly and repeatedly in every hole you've got. Because basically, you've been snatched and brought here for us to train and use as our sex slave. Sound kind of far out? Well, I suppose it is to the uninitiated, but we do it all the time. It's going to take a lot of adjustment on your part, and you're not going to like a fucking bit. But I don't give a big rat's ass about that. It's not like you're going to have any choice about the matter. You've been taken by force, and you're going to be kept and used by force. What all this amounts to is that you're going to be kept naked and chained up like an animal to be used and abused anytime we want, anytime that we want to. And you might as well start getting used to it because you're going to be kept here and used until such time as we get tired of fucking around with you. And we will eventually, in a month or two, maybe 3. It's no big deal. My lady friend and I have been keeping sex slave for years. We both have kinky hang-ups involving rape, dungeon games, etc. We found that it is extremely convenient to keep 1 or 2 female captives available constantly to satisfy our particular needs. We are very selective when we snatch a girl to use for these purposes. It goes without saying that you have a fine body and you're probably young, maybe very young, because for our purposes, we prefer to snatch girls in their early to mid-teens, sexually developed, but still small-bodied, scared shitless, easy to handle and easy to train. They usually have tight little pussies and assholes. Jesus. They make perfect slaves. Anytime that we go on a hunting trip, if we can't find a little teenager, we usually start hitting the gay bars, looking for well-built, big-titted lesbian. I thoroughly enjoy raping and screwing around with lesbians, and there's not much danger of them carrying a sexually transmitted disease. And I don't like using condoms. Also, even though they're a little older, unless they've been playing with dildos a lot, they still have some tight holes between their legs, like the younger girls. If we can't find the lesbian that we want, we snatch anything that is young, clean, and well-built. We very seldom come back empty-handed because there's plenty of bitches out there to choose from. And with a little practice and deception, most of them is very easy to get with little risk. At this point, it makes little difference what category you fall into. You're here and we're gonna make the most of it. You're gonna be kept in hidden slave room. It is relatively soundproof, escape-proof, and is completely stocked with devices and equipment to satisfy our sexual fetishes and deviations. There may or may not be another girl in the room. Occasionally, for variety, we like to keep two slaves at the same time. In either case, as the new girl, you'll definitely be getting the most attention for a while. Let me stop there because this just gets graphic and just more gruesome and crazier and creepier and nastier, and it's just a little too much. Welcome everybody to the Grim Fix podcast. Today we are talking about a very, very disturbing case. I'm pretty sure most of you have heard of it, and if you haven't, then you come to the right place. I'm your host, David, with my co-host JR and Charles in the house.
Hey everybody.
Yo.
So, wow. I decided to start with that intro because this is a manuscript of a tape that this deviant would play for all his victims. So I'm assuming, like, just the fact that this guy, I guess, he must have wrote this down. I doubt it. He was just improvising on tape.
Yo, the guy is a brainiac.
Like, yo,
the guy's a brainiac.
I got tired reading that part. So I'm assuming this guy got tired of just reading the same shit to people. Decided, like, you know what? Let me just do a commercial or like a public service announcement and just play it for all my... Like, this is the first time I've ever heard of someone who puts so much thought into the crime they're committing that they're prepared with a fucking tape. Like,
this is right out of a Saw movie. Right
yes,
here.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
movie.
Like, can you picture yourself waking up? You're probably blindfolded. You can't move your hands. You can't move your legs. You're naked. Like, and then you hear this shit playing. Yep. Like, can you imagine the fear? I mean, I don't care if you're a man, woman, whatever you are. This shit will fucking, like, this will put the fear of God in you. I guarantee that.
Yeah. What would be your first thought being in that situation?
I don't know, man. I swear to you, like, I'm assuming
my first word. Oh shit.
Like, yo, like I'm telling you, I've been studying this case for a while, and it's like every time I read this, I'm just like dumbfounded at like the mentality behind this, like the thought that this guy, like, he put his money where his mouth is because he invested in this. And we're gonna get to that. But
he invested a lot of money.
He invested money into this, and
money
it's just crazy to me. So for you guys who are wondering, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about David Ray Parker, right?
No, David Parker Ray.
David Parker
that's
Ray.
His middle name.
Oh, I have here David Ray Parker. That's it, right?
I have it the other way around.
Yeah, me too.
It says David P. Ray.
Yeah, David Parker Ray. Well, in this article here where they put the manuscript, they put David Ray Parker. All right, so David Parker Ray, also known as the Toy Box Killer, right? I think the first time I heard about this case was about 5 years ago, and what drew the attention, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what draws many people the attention to this case, is the name of Toy Box Killer, because, you know, develops curiosity, like, what does that mean? Like, why the Toy Box Killer? And, you know, so yeah, we decided that we wanted to talk about this. Again, I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with the case, but you've never heard us talk about it. So if you heard other podcasts, this is going to be the best one you've heard. So I guess we can jump right into his story, right? So I have a few articles here, but I have from historydaily.org, written by Grace Taylor. And the article's name is The Toy Box Killer, a.k.a. David Parker Ray, serial killer who sexually tortured women in his trailer, right? So this guy is deemed a serial killer, right? Because of testimonies that were said afterwards, right? After he was caught. But the truth is, there's only about 2 murders that can be linked to him. Well, not even murders. It was more linked cases, right, of kidnapping and torture because of survivors, right? But this guy, like, again, he put so much thought into it. Like, I mean, he did it for years. According to testimony of his then girlfriend, Hendy, she said that David had told her that he had committed at least 1 murder per year, and he had been doing it for over 40 years. So just based on that alone, that's 40 murders right there. Women.
Easy.
So let's jump into a little bit of his story, right? So it says that David Parker Ray was one of America's most prolific and grotesque serial killers, despite the fact that he was never convicted of a single murder. We know he likely killed upwards of 60 women, according to the article, throughout his life, but not much else is known about the man dubbed the Toy Box Killer. He was born on November 6, 1939 in New Mexico to a working class family and went on to join the U.S. Army after high school, where he mostly worked as a mechanic. But that's pretty much where the trail ends until his gruesome crime spree. He has said that his grandfather and father abused alcohol and were often violent with him, and credits the violent pornography shown to him as a teenager by his father, with inducing him to sadomasochist obsession. So here they jump his whole story, right? So part of the things that I read, I'm pretty sure you guys read as well. His father, right, was abusive, which is usually the case, right? The drinking, the beating. Apparently, dad also used to beat his mom, which eventually she decided to leave. And he ends up, I think, staying with his grandfather. And grandfather was also one of these like religious, strict people. And I guess all the abuse. And then father, right? Dad comes back into the picture, I guess, occasionally, and starts introducing him into like the sadomasochist pornography, right? Magazines and whatnot, and all this bondage and torture. And it just, I guess it distorts his whole reality. It creates like this sick mind. I want to say it that way. So, I mean, we've all seen in many cases prior to this, and we'll see to cases after this, where abuse of the parents, right? Physical abuse, verbal abuse, and then you introduce a mixture of this crazy pornography. It just distorts the mentality of a young person who's very impressionable. So, anybody has anything to add about that? No?
I also saw that he was bullied at school as well.
See, that's another.
So he was bullied everywhere, at home, and school.
Yeah, home, school.
So
I wonder if he was bullied in the army.
Who knows? That's what I'm saying. Because back then, I mean, now hazing, it's frowned upon, but back then that was a big thing, man.
Yes.
In military,
especially initiating.
Yeah,
because I think they used to do that in the army. They would haze you just to initiate you into the group itself.
Yep.
Oh, like I said, the guy was a freaking brainiac when he came up. When he came up with all this.
So it says, let me see. Wait, yeah, no, keep going. No, so it says that says Ray's method of kidnapping women was disturbingly effective. And one of the cases, I'm assuming maybe there's more, he posed as a cop, complete with a fake badge, and he told the soon-to-be victim that they were under arrest. So apparently, right, other stories say that she was a sex worker, back then known as a prostitute or a hooker. Now we
Yeah, I
say
think
sex worker.
was she a junkie also, right?
I don't know, but it says he got okay. So soon-to-be victim under arrest. After he got them in handcuffs, he drugged and transported them to a nightmare contained in a trailer that's called his toy box. The woman awakened to find themselves strapped to a cold metal table equipped with stirrups, usually only found in gynecology offices, and surrounded by a nearly unimaginable array of torture devices, from chains to saws, surgical equipment. It was later determined by law enforcement that the number of torture and sexual devices he amassed must have cost him more than $100,000 that he put into this toy box, right? He called that trailer a toy box. So the trailer, right? He had this home. I don't know why they skipped all this, right? So do they even know? Okay. I guess not. So this guy, he's from, what is it? Elephant Butte, New Mexico.
Yeah, from Truth or Consequence.
Truths and Consequences, yeah. So in this community is more like a trailer home type community, flat land, surrounded by mobile homes and trailers and whatnot. So he had his house, and then next to, or let's say behind his house, he had this container, this trailer, where he had like you can bolt it shut. It was soundproof, locks everywhere. It was impossible to escape. One of the things that I don't see here is where he lived in Elephant Butte, right? There's a lake there. And this is why I believe, and many believe, why they can't find bodies. But this is how well thought this fucking guy was. In that lake, they have these huge catfish. And those catfish feed off like anything, basically. So apparently, right, according to testimony that Cindy Hendy gave, that he confessed to her, he knew how to dispose of bodies, right? He would empty out all the organs, fill it up with, I don't know if it was metal or stones, and then he would wire the body shut and throw it in that lake. And then as it reached the ground at the bottom, the fishes would feed on the rest. They would take care of the
bottom feeders.
It's crazy.
So basically, there's no way of finding a body.
But yet there should be bones. And they swam because if I saw the video, that video documentary, that they were swimming, scuba divers were swimming in that lake. No. At least they should find at least a bone or something.
But they didn't.
No, they didn't.
They didn't.
And that's what
crazy.
This guy is so well thought that who knows if he figured out what was like the deepest part of the lake. Drive his boat out, drop the bodies in there, and they'll never find. You should
have a big ass pile there.
Like who knows? Like I think of Dexter when he would take it. What is it to the water in Miami, and he had like this spot where he would drop the bodies. Yep. Like this guy was so well thought out that God knows, man.
Strategic.
So okay, so it says as it dawned on his victims exactly what was in store for them, a recording of Ray's voice, which is what we read in the beginning, confirmed it over the course of a rambling 30+ minutes, including how he wanted them to react. If they didn't react to the torture in a way he demanded, for example, if they screamed too much, he promised to slash their throats. Basically, it would be surprising if the creators of Saw had never heard of David Parker Ray.
It's a miracle they haven't done a movie.
So after the recording played, Ray entered the room and began torturing his victim, usually for around 3 days. Sometimes he filmed and photographed the assaults. When he was finished, he either killed the woman or fed her a mixture of drugs that he believed caused severe memory loss and then let them go, explaining in his recording that the decision was mostly based on his mood and how much the victim fought back.
Question.
Yep.
If he injected, or I don't know, fed them that certain medicine or
Drug.
I don't know, that drug, how did he come to get that? You know, I don't think that you'll find it in a drugstore, like any corner drugstore.
Who's providing him the drugs?
Exactly. You know, where will he get it from?
I mean, think about
There should
how did he
be-
get a gynecology seat?
No,
and all
but
this
that
shit? Like,
can you can get that
no, you
anywhere.
can't just purchase. That's what I'm saying. Things like that. This guy must have been like so well connected.
Yes.
Like being like the drugs that he was giving these, I'm not feeding, but the drugs that he was giving his victims was a concoction that he was putting together. So this is
Right.
not some shit that he's like, hey, so what if I do this? No, he knew what he was doing.
He knew. Well, somebody must have taught him. So, you know, how come they're not in the story? Well, not the story, at least in the investigation. They weren't never mentioned.
Yeah.
And how did he get $100,000 for that toy box? Who's giving him that?
No,
How
that
is
could have
giving
been
him that
built.
money?
That could remember he was in the army. The guy was well
true.
known in his town. He was well known, well respected. You know,
True.
and he was one of, you know, I think he was an employee of the month or the year. You know, so the guy, I'm guessing he was getting paid well, pension from the army, and he must have built that throughout time. You know, just investing little by little.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did this like little by little. A lot of the work he did himself, I'm assuming, right? So it says that the gruesome torture and assault continued for decades until Ray made a major mistake. While torturing Cynthia Vigil, leaving the keys to the chains that bound Vigil on a nearby table, she managed to reach them. She unlocked her cuffs and stabbed Hendy with an ice pick before running down the sparsely populated road, wearing only an iron collar and banging on the door of the nearest house. Thankfully, the owner was home and she took Vigil into safety and called 911. So this is one version, right? Another version is that they say, so Vigil, when Ray went to work, they left the keys, right? Just like it says there. She was able to undo her cuffs, right? And get loose, still with the collar on and naked. She was able to call 911, but she got caught by Hendy, so I guess they hung up. So they got into this fight. Cindy Hendy had hit her over the head, I think, with a lamp. I mean, very movie-like. And then Vigil was able to get an ice pick and stabbed her in the face or somewhere, because there's different versions. One say they slashed in the face, one she stabbed her in the shoulder. I don't know, I wasn't there. So when she stabbed her, she was able to escape, run, and she found it was supposed to be like a mobile home where she banged on the door, and it was a couple that let her in, right? And then she passed out. And when she woke up, they called 911, and they were able to track the first 911 call that she did. They already had the address, so they went and checked. Another version says that Vigil took the police to the house where she was being kept, and that's when they arrested the Toy Box Killer and Cindy Hendy.
Yeah, 513 Bass Road.
So it says that a news of the attack spread. Another woman named Angelica Montano came forward with her story of a very similar occurrence. So even more disturbing was the case of Kelly Garrett, a family friend of Ray, who was tortured and released after being given drugs and actually did go to the police. But despite her detailed testimony, which included Ray's name and address, the police didn't believe her and never so much as visited Ray's house. Even Garrett's husband believed she had a consensual affair with Ray. In fact, he divorced her because of it. So this was Kelly Garrett was the one that they had drugged, and then they released her in the road. Right. So some of the stories say that he would, after he would torture the women, he would drug them and either drop them hours away, right, close to the border, or he would sell them as sex slaves. Right. This woman, Kelly Garrett, I'm pretty sure this, it doesn't say here, but I'm pretty sure she's the one that they found a tape when they arrested David. They found a tape, and he would cover the faces, but they saw a tattoo.
Yeah.
Right. And then they put it over the news. And then this woman's ex-mother-in-law recognized it and contacted her. And then this woman, Kelly Garrett, when she was released and finally made it home, her husband thought that basically she brought that upon herself because I guess they had an argument. She had gone drinking. And this is where the accomplices, besides Cindy Hendy, his girlfriend, his daughter, Jessie Parker, comes into play.
Yes.
Right? Where she drugged her drink, and she's the one who brought her to
Kelly. I think Kelly was her friend. They were friends.
Yes.
Jessie.
So I know that so this woman, when they contact her and she recognized her tattoo, she was having trouble. She was having nightmares. She spent years not being able to trust another man. She couldn't understand why. Everything was foggy. She had, I guess, like little bits and pieces. They put her through therapy. And because of therapy, with therapy help, she was able to remember everything that happened. So apparently, according to that story, that means the drugs that David Parker was using actually worked. Right? So another victim.
Don't promote it too much.
No. So another victim was, let me see, I have it here. So another victim was Marie Parker, right? She was tortured by David Parker, but she was also brought to him by Jessie Parker, his daughter, and her boyfriend, which is, I know his last name was Yancy.
Roy Yancy.
Roy Yancy.
Roy Yancy. Okay, so if you guys got the details, man, spit them out. So Roy Yancy.
Hey, we don't want to interrupt.
No. So Roy Yancy was also a troubled youth, right? He had already been in prison. He would do vandalism around the neighborhood. He went on a spree of like killing cats. He had like a little clique where they were into like Satanism. And, they started sacrificing, quote unquote, sacrificing animals. The thing is, this guy goes to jail. When he comes out, apparently, right, he's a new man. I don't want to do crime. I don't want to go back to my old life. But then he meets Jessie Parker, and little by little, she introduces him into this whole, David Parker world. I think at one point, they were screwing each other, him and Jessie, and they say, right, that David Parker was also having sex with his daughter.
Yes.
Apparently, she had a baby and hasn't been proven or disproven that it's his. I mean, this guy's fucking nasty, no matter what. So the thing is that with Mary Parker, she used to be Roy's girlfriend. And she was I think she was homeless at this point. She was sleeping in a tent. They invited her over. Ray did his thing. They tortured her. And then supposedly he says that they put a gun to him and made him strangle her. Supposedly there's video to this because the camera was quote unquote on, but the tape was never found, which they suspect that David Parker sold it as a snuff film.
So Anyone has it, feel free to share it.
I'm telling you, there's
my
tons
God.
of people. If they were to really investigate this,
and that's the only way we're gonna be able to know if it's true or not. Because
I'm telling you, if they would do a thorough I mean, I'm pretty sure they were investigating, but
of course,
like if they were to find the people that were connected to this, I'm sure there's tons of people that did this, because there's also stories that, I mean, David Parker was into bestiality, right?
yeah.
And he said that he had these dogs and he had like this special table where he would tie women to them. So they're like, I guess, on like all fours,
Yeah.
legs
They were
spread.
hanging with their butts up high. They, and the front is like leaning a little bit forward.
Yeah.
Human centipede.
And then he would.
What? The human centipede.
I've never seen that. So.
Well, human centipede. Well, yeah, sort of, but I'm guessing her knees weren't touching the floor or something. She's like a little bit off the floor.
I know that this guy, he would also put, I think, was like dog musk on her back.
All over the back, the neck, and
so
her
the
genital
fucking
area.
dog would have sex with the woman, and then it says that he would have these parties. So I'm telling you, there were tons of people that witnessed these crimes.
Yes.
And nobody came forward.
People with money, with power. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can just imagine the amount of like snuff films and shit like that this guy created. Like he must have, well, not have, because he's not here anymore, but he must have. I mean, even though they did find tapes upon tapes upon tapes, but just imagine those are the ones that he kept. I can just imagine the amounts that he sold. And back then, that's how it was. You had,
yep.
Look at what was it? Pam Anderson and Tommy Lee sex tape.
Yeah.
All they had were VHSs.
VHS.
And they were selling like hotcakes. People were ordering them. They were mailing them to people. So just imagine shit like this, which again brings us back to the movie 8mm.
Yes.
So let me see if I find anything else that we haven't said, but so Ray's killings are believed to have come to an end in March 1999 when he was 59 years old. On the 22nd, an intended victim, Cynthia Vigil, which we read this, right? His girlfriend, chain, abducted. Okay, we read all this. Okay, to help her get rid of her. Okay, wait. Let's go back. So gave her a robe. Okay, so she made it to a mobile home, the owners of which let her in. This is the version that I had read. Gave her a robe and called 911. Police officers were already on their way to Ray's address since the 911 call had been made from there had been interrupted. Both Ray and Hendy were arrested, claiming to have abducted Vigil in an attempt to help her get rid of her heroin addiction. When the officers looked inside the toy box and found, besides the torture devices and sex toys, the fake police badge Ray had used to abduct Vigil in Albuquerque and evidence of Vigil's struggle with Hendy, they arrested them both and charged them with 12 different criminal charges, including kidnapping and aggravated assault. So Ray and also his occasional accomplices targeted prostitutes. This is his modus operandi, right? It says that his accomplices targeted prostitutes, luring them with some kind of ruse, such as soliciting them or pretending to be a police officer. He would then take them to his homemade torture chamber, the toy box, which was filled with sex toys, surgical instruments, chains, pulleys, straps, clamps, spreader bars, syringes, and diagrams of the human body. There was also a gynecology table that the victims would be restrained in, a mirror mounted on the ceiling so that they would be able to see themselves being raped and tortured, and a device for electric torture. Ray would record the torture either by audio or with a video camera and take trophies such as clothing and jewelry. At least some of the victims were.
So I saw that. I saw all his trophies. They actually have an FBI file with all the underwears, jewelries, watches, and stuff like that.
Did you guys see the pictures of all that shit?
Yes, I actually have a picture here, which those of you who are on YouTube will see it.
It's nasty. That's nasty.
Yeah. So okay, so the victims were okay. So at least some of the victims were let go after a few days. Ray claimed that to have drugged them to make them forget about what happened. According to Cindy Hendy, the fatal victims were dismembered and buried, dumped in the Elephant Butte Lake, and dumped in ravines. Oh, so that victim Parker, after Yancy strangled her, supposedly they had dumped her in this like deserted area, which when they got arrested, he offered to take them. And when they got there, apparently David Parker had already gone and removed the body.
Move the body.
So his known accomplices, Cindy Lee Hendy, she was Ray's girlfriend. She had 3 children from a prior relationship. She moved to New Mexico to avoid being prosecuted for forgery, theft, and drug possession. She moved from Washington, right? She was running from the police. She was sentenced to 36 years in prison for her involvement in the abductions of tortures. She was sentenced to 36, but she got out like a 19. Then we have
good behavior.
Glenda Jean, no, because they all made deals.
Yeah, just had it. Even though he took the blame.
Yeah. His deal was to save his daughter. So
he saved everybody else.
They have Glenda Jean, which is Jessie Ray, Ray's daughter. She drugged Kelly Garrett's beer as part of her kidnapping, aided Ray in killing Marie Parker together with Yancy, and she was sentenced to 5 years of probation for a second-degree kidnapping. And yeah, her when he finally decided to make the deal with police, she was released with time served. I think she was in there for like 2 years. And then we have Dennis Roy Yancy. He aided Ray and Glenda Ray in killing Marie Parker. He was sentenced to 2 consecutive 15-year sentences for kidnapping and second-degree murder. The known victims that are here from 1950 to 1999, supposedly he committed up to 60 to 100 murders, right? No, but the known victims are from 1999, February 21st, Angelica Montano, abducted and held captive. She was released. March 19, Cynthia Vigil, abducted and held captive. She escaped. And then with unspecified dates, we have Billy Bowers, alleged an accomplice killed by Ray. So he was an accomplice that supposedly Ray killed, or David Parker. And then Marie Parker, she was tortured by Ray, then fatally strangled by Yancy, which we said that. And Kelly Garrett was abducted by Glenda, held captive, and slashed her throat and left her for dead. But she was rescued. That's the one that they threw, like I think, also like in a field.
Ravine. Yeah, the ravine. I think Roy took the cops over there, and they didn't find no body. I guess supposedly, as they say, Ray had went back and taken the body.
And then you see all of these things in movies, and you go like, "Oh, it's just a movie. That shit never happens." But it does. It really does.
That's what I'm saying. So, like as I read this further and further, all I kept thinking about was, what is it? A House of a Thousand Corpses?
Yep. You know what remember when you were describing the giant the table with the mirrors on top?
Yeah.
You know what movie it reminded me of? Law Abiding Citizen.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Remember when they were on the table, he was seeing what everything was done.
Yeah, and he couldn't move.
that's got to be horrible.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just, I thought of a House of a Thousand Corpses, like the whole woman, his daughter, right? His daughter would bring people over. His girlfriend would help bringing people over. So apparently that girl Vigil, right? What was her first name?
Cindy Vigil.
Was it Cindy Vigil?
Cynthia Vigil.
Okay, so Cynthia, I can't find it, but okay, Cynthia Vigil. Apparently that was his girlfriend, Cindy Hendy, was going away to a friend's wedding, somebody, or her daughter's wedding, some shit. I think it was her daughter's wedding. And he told her, like, yeah, you can go, but I need a sex slave to keep me entertained while you go away. And that's when they decided to kidnap her.
That's
I mean, if
crazy.
you dig into Cindy Hendy's story, I mean, it was a sad story also. Like she was, I think, kicked out of her house by the time she was 12. Her mother was like a piece of shit that very neglecting and like, I mean, neglected her, wouldn't even feed her. Like even to feed her was an issue. So I get it. You got a fucked up background, but it makes you feel bad, right? Sort of for young her, but older her was a piece of shit. So apparently, while they were right all being prosecuted, this is when David Ray Parker or David Parker Ray. I keep saying David Ray Parker. David Parker Ray. He decided to confess, right? And take the charges up. He basically did a plea deal for the kidnappings, not murder, but the kidnappings. And he said that he would do that only if they let his daughter go, which again, they said that, her sentence was time served. So she was free to go and she had probation, right? But this fucking guy, when he finally gets convicted, fucking guy has a heart attack and dies. So technically, he never did.
Well, he did serve. Well, not
but not of his
serve,
sentence.
But yeah, exactly. He was just held during trial.
He never served a day of his sentence, and I think they had sentenced him to like 250 something or 274 years, some crazy thing, like the maximum that they could. And by that time, they didn't have the death penalty, because if not,
I could imagine the cop's face when he dies.
Yeah, man.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
I know, right? So much shit in this fucking guy, and now he comes and dies, gets the easy way out.
It's drops like that.
Yeah, it's not like he suffered a death. No, like his death was like quick and easy. Like, fuck this guy. Like,
I think he knew he was gonna die because he just took
like,
everything.
How old was he? How old was he?
He was 59, right? It wasn't that old. 59, I think it was, even though he looked like he was 75.
It was the mustache.
Hard times. Yeah, well, hey, don't talk about mustache.
Mustache. Yeah, when he was 59 years old. Yeah.
59. He died of a heart attack.
Well, this was when he was caught. Okay, so March 99, when he was 59 years old, so I was a victim. So he was probably maybe 61. I want to say, if it was 2 years later.
Yeah. Well, so, he was just anyway. Yeah, give and take.
62. He was, yeah. May 28. He died May 28, 2002. He was 62 years old. I don't know. I believe in, and I think the cure to most of these crimes, I get it. Yeah, most of these crimes are tons of mental issues, obviously, because nobody in the right mind does shit like this.
No, but I think he went past that.
But this is where I agree with the Bible, man. Eye for an eye. Like, I wish that people that were caught in stuff like this and proven, right, they're guilty, their sentence should be tie him up to a table, let somebody bang him until he can't, until he passes out. Let him hear a fucking tape rambling for half an hour, stick shit up his ass, beat the shit out of him, let a dog fuck him. Like, all this, he should go through all of that first and then go to jail. Let him
have some guy over there do the same thing. I'm telling you, like,
they should do that. Like, I'm serious. Like, they should do that, and I guarantee you, a lot of people will think way more before doing nonsense like this.
Yes. Do you guys remember the movie I Spit on Your Grave?
I have never seen that.
What?
Nope.
Never heard of it.
I Spit on Your Grave. It's a 70s movie.
Oh god.
And then it got a remake. And it's very violent, it's very gross, because these randoms take this girl and they basically rape the shit out of her and they beat the shit out of her, and then she ends up escaping, and then they left her for dead. and then she comes back, and then she does the exact same thing to them.
Oh man, I gotta see that now.
And then on one of the scenes, she literally chops one of the dude's penis. She goes like pop.
What?
And then she puts the penis in his mouth, like
nice.
Wow.
Yes, I spit on your grave.
Oh, it's a 2010 movie or the remake.
Yes.
I'm assuming.
Which one is more gross, the old one? Or
they got part one.
Well, the new one is more gross.
They got like
I think the old one is called the day of the woman, something like that, aka the day of the woman. I think I'm not sure.
So there's a remake, and then there's other parts to it.
Yes, no, those are no.
Yeah, no, I don't know why they do other parts of a movie like this. There should be no part 2, no part 3.
But the acting it's really believable. You feel dirty after watching it.
And then there's a
it's a
like
rapey,
watching a snuff.
Yes, it's a rapey torture film. Like
there's a 2019 version of it too. It's called I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu.
Oh no.
From 2019. No, but I gotta see that. I love movies that they show you like true karma, true revenge. That's what I love about Law Abiding Citizen. I fucking love them. I've seen it so many times. I love that movie. It's just like when you see like these video clips like on Instagram, and you see like these crime videos, and then it goes wrong, like they end up getting their ass beat or something like that. Yeah, I love that. Like it makes me happy.
Karma.
Instant karma it makes me so happy when I see that. I don't know.
But I was thinking more of the conspiracy line. Like, who's behind all this sex slave thing? Like, who's sponsoring this? Who's behind it? Because that's what I was thinking about.
Illuminati.
Like,
what do you mean with David?
Yes, yes.
So you believe there was somebody behind his
who's he
mastermind?
Who's he selling these girls to?
Well, the only person that was behind it was the bullying of his dad, giving him the bondage magazine. But I guess he trained them since he was a kid.
Who was he selling these people to? Like,
I don't know.
That's a good point of view. Like,
yes, because
what if there was somebody behind, like a mastermind?
Who did he sell those tapes to? Like, somebody is buying that.
Like, you're my puppet, man.
Somebody's profiteering from that.
Huh. I mean, I guess that's the
Illuminati.
You buy one copy and you can sell a bunch.
Buy one, get one free.
I mean, obviously, this is hypothetically.
Literally, you can buy just one. A person, like, let's say I were to buy one and I want to sell, I just make a copy of the one that I have.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, like nowadays, everything, there's always something bigger behind it. Everybody's like, oh no, but why did they do that? Like, who's behind this? And they always talk about the elite and the Illuminati and the 1%, the Masons. So imagine, I mean, let's hypothetically, right? Imagine that. Imagine maybe, what if there was somebody behind it? Like, listen, I'll pay you. You're my production company. You're gonna produce these tapes for me. I will fund all your kinky fetishes. I will give you the money. I will help you. I will whatever. I'll get you whatever you need. You just keep making this content because this is what I like, and this is what sells. Like.
Oh, but that guy, he loved it too much.
No,
he enjoyed it too much. So I doubt it was just to make movies.
I mean, who on their right minds records a tape and puts it on, your victim?
To be honest,
it's like a 30-minute tape rambling thing.
That's what creeps me out the most of this whole story. The tape. Just the thought of someone who sat down and put all these disgusting thoughts out there. Because listen, for all you listening and watching, look up the transcript. That shit is like 5 pages long.
Yes, and he's letting you know what he's gonna do to you.
Exactly,
and that makes you dirty already, and he hasn't even done anything yet.
Like, it's just it's mind blowing the fact that he went through the work of putting this together
so thoroughly,
and he basically put all these unfiltered thoughts into a piece of paper or whatever, and then he put it on tape.
And because he got tired of repeating it every time.
Like that's, I'm telling you, that's like, I mean, obviously the torture is horrible. It's just, I can't even fathom like what goes through the mind of somebody going through that.
Yes.
But he's not that twisted. When he was asking questions to see if they were sick when they had their period, he went literally, I don't know, just finding out every little detail about the girls.
But that's what I'm saying, because he was look, the fact that he talks about lesbians, that he says lesbians are less prone to have venereal diseases. Like, who fucking thinks of that? Like, it's crazy. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way this is him just with a tape recording it, just improvising.
Yes.
This must have been he sat down, wrote it down, like really put thought into it. This is what I want to make sure I get all this. And this is this is my presentation to my victims.
My business card.
Exactly. But what's he gonna get out? What's he getting out of it? You know, it's like it's purposely there for the film, right? Because why would he ever do that? Like, why? What's the purpose of it?
You know, the fact that he just like, oh God, like you put a mirror so they can see what's happening to them. Not on. Oh my God, like it's.
I'm telling you, somebody's behind it.
That's
somebody's behind it.
Charles' conspiracy theory. Coming to you.
Yeah, four people were behind it.
No, the X-Files theme's playing.
Listen, nowadays nothing surprises me, man. And like these sick people, they think of shit. They do things that the unthinkable. But again, I don't know. This after reading this whole story and digging into it, it really took away some of Rob Zombie's credibility to me. Because when I saw House of a Thousand Corpses and I saw Devil's Rejects, I always said, like, wow, like this guy has a really sick, fucked up mind. Like, who thinks of this shit? There's no way a person would ever do stuff like this.
Hey,
and then I read the story.
But think about it. When did you that know more about Devil's Rejects, Charles? What year did it come out?
I think it was 2003.
Yeah, 2003.
So that means there's maybe he heard about this story. Got some ideas.
No, not maybe. This shit. Well, true. He got caught in '99. Exactly. Let me see. Wait.
Yeah, but remember. There's this movie called Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is about this weird family eating people, right, and killing people. This isn't new.
But that was inspired by the show we did before, Ed Gein.
And maybe House of a Thousand Corpses was inspired by this movie, but then again,
House of a Thousand Corpses came out in 2003. Devil's Rejects came out in 2005. So that means he did have time to hear about this story. When he got, this guy, he got convicted because he died in 2002.
Right.
And that story, national news. And I'm pretty sure on that side, because if you notice a common theme in Rob Zombie's movie, well, in at least Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand, it takes place, I think, like in Texas, like that area over there.
Yes, these are areas.
I'm pretty sure he was well aware of this story because it happened in New Mexico.
Yeah, he could have taken just ideas. It could just help them out.
I know you guys are defending Rob Zombie. I'm not shitting on him. No. I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure he was inspired by this. So. David Parker Ray was the real mastermind behind House of a Thousand Corpses.
Was the real Captain Spaulding.
I'm just saying.
Captain Spaulding. Dr. Evil.
Dr. Satan.
Oh, Dr. Satan.
Yeah, Dr. Satan.
Excuse me.
But, all right. So, anyway, this has been, David Parker Ray, right? The Toy Box Killer. obviously there's so much more we can say. There's so many more articles we can pull, so much more information. But again, it's been told before. I mean, what we discuss is what we thought people really wanted to hear. I mean, we can dig into Cindy Hendy's story. We can dig into Yancey's story. We can into Jesse Parker's story.
Especially,
yeah, we're not gonna do a 3-hour episode here talking about this case. But we just, again, I was out of everything, aside from the horrible torture and the way he did it and the lack of empathy. This man had no empathy for these women at all.
No, he says it. He actually explains it in the manual.
Yeah, in the transcript, he says that they're just, what is it, a piece of meat.
Piece of meat, and no matter what they say, if you say you're sick, whatever, he don't care. If you got problems, mental problems, it don't matter. You're still not gonna escape. You're not gonna leave. You have kids, you're still gonna be there. It don't matter.
And the crazy thing is that the rest of the people involved, they're still free. I mean,
that's the sad part.
Yes, like
that's the sad part. They're free.
They're free.
And like, so is he. So is he. He died. He
to some
didn't do
extent.
time.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, in part of the manuscript, or transcript, whatever you want to call it, the script that he had, like he says, I guess I've been. So he says, occasionally for Ratty, we let to slave. Okay, we read that, and then for a while he goes, now, as I said earlier, you're going to be kept like an animal. I guess I've been doing this too long. I've been raping bitches ever since I was old enough to jerk off and tie little girls' hands behind their back. This is me imitating how he sounds right from New Mexico. Just imagine
little girls. He was doing this since he was a kid.
He goes, as far as I'm concerned, you're a pretty piece of meat to be used and exploited. I don't give a flying fuck about your mind or how you feel about this situation. You be married, have a kid or two, a boyfriend, girlfriend, a job, car payment. Fuck it. I don't give a rat's ass about any of that. And I don't want to hear about it. It's something you're going to have to deal with after you're turned loose. I make it a point never to like a slave. And I fucking sure don't have any respect for you. Here, your status is no more than that one of the dogs or of one of the animals out in the barn. Your only value to us is to the fact that you have an attractive, usable body. And like the rest of our animals, you'll be fed and watered, kept in good physical condition, kept reasonably clean, and allowed to use the toilet when necessary. In return, you're going to be used hard, especially during the first few days while you're new and fresh. You're going to be kept chained in a variety of positions, usually with your legs or knees forced wide apart. Which that's right. Some of the stuff that they found, what was it? An ankle spreader, knee spreader.
The knee spreader.
And he made it.
And he made it. And he wrote on the thing, knee spreader.
Knee spreader. Fucking guy, man.
And the length of the thing, it was written as well.
He actually did a tape on him explaining the freaking toy box.
Jeez, man, look, this guy, like, he says he's into animal sex. Oh my god, I'm not gonna read this. But
the Illuminati, dude.
The Illuminati.
Mason.
So
Mason.
All right, so I want to hear from you guys that are listening and watching. Please leave us your comments down below. Again, I emphasize and remind, right? Everyone who is listening and watching, if you have a story that you want us to read, you can email us at thegrimfixpodcast@gmail.com. Send us your story. It doesn't have to have a name to it. Just whatever story. If it's a supernatural, paranormal, a crime story, we want to hear about it. Maybe you'll be one of the lucky ones to get your story read on one of our podcasts. You can follow us social media, right? The Grim Fix Podcast, Instagram, Facebook, and of course our YouTube channel, the Grim Fix Podcast. If you have not subscribed till now, you should do so right now and turn on that notification bell, right? If you're listening to us podcast platforms on your favorite platform, no matter, we're on all of them. Please follow, drop us a review, give us 5 stars, let us know how ridiculously awesome we are. And yeah, I want to hear what you guys think about it, right? All right, so yep, to the next episode. Be safe, guys.
Peace.
Peace.